نحمده ونصلي ونسلم على رسوله الكريم وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قال النبي صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم صلاة الجماعة تفضل صلاة الفذ ب27 درجة متفق عليه. Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that congregational prayer is 27 times superior in rank than individual prayer. It's a muttafaq riwayat, which means it's in Bukhari and Muslim. So the first thing that we have to pay attention to is that the word that the Prophet ﷺ used, he said daraja, 27 daraja. Could have said 27 amthal. So sometimes it gets mistranslated into, and because of that we sometimes start thinking, okay, so it's 27 times more thawab, but that's an understatement. Why? Because just a simple example, if I order a food dish, if I order a side, I get a side of sweet potatoes, for example, and then I order an entree. So yes, the sweet potatoes are like, it's a side, so it's a smaller portion, and the entree is bigger. But are they the same in quality as well? The quantity is different, yes, but is the quality different as well or not? It is very different. The entree might be a steak, for example, and this is just, potatoes. So daraja is also like levels, degrees. So that can imply that not just the quantity, but also the quality can change. So now, looking back at when we started Salah, does anyone want to tell me the kind of benefits that we did? It will elucidate the concept more. It will make it more easy to understand. We did different kinds of benefits, and even in the kinds there were like many, more than one. Does anyone remember even one of them? It's okay. You don't have to. I understand that the concept is in there. It's just, we cannot recall it. But I still want you guys to try and tell me what kind, if anyone remembers. I'll give you a hint. One of them was psychological benefits. And then there was another heading under, do you guys remember? Anyone remember?
Like the discipline.
Yes, very good. So there was discipline in psychological benefits. There was one of them was discipline, and the second one was well, I'll just give you them. That's fine. So psychological benefits, there were spiritual benefits, there were societal benefits, there were sociological benefits. Each one of them had multiple points in them. So when we look at individual prayer and when we look at congregational prayer, there will be many benefits that are just not present in the individual prayer, that will be present in the congregational one. For example, even the one that Dr. Muhammad touched on, he said, Brother Muhammad touched on, that he reprimands me when the camera is off. So it is the discipline. Now, how much discipline does a person need to just, like I gave you the example yesterday, if I'm playing video games, how much discipline do I need to just get up for 5 minutes and do wudu? It's going to probably take me like a minute and a half, and 3 minutes for asr. How much discipline does that require? Not that much, like 5 minutes. I can do it. But what about coming to asr prayer, making it to the mosque? And that's difficult, because if I stand up, I have to pause the game. Eventually somebody's going to come, my younger brother or someone else, and he's going to do multiple things are going to come to my head. Eventually I'm actually forsaking this game right now. That requires discipline. So other than that, we also talked about identity reorientation, realignment. We remember our purpose. Like even right now, when we just came into the mosque right now, when we were coming in, our mind is scattered. We have a lot of things that are pulling us in different directions. We're thinking about our dissertation, about thesis, studies, work, family. Then you come, you see everybody just standing still. They're all making rows. A person comes, makes those rows, and then the imam starts reciting something, and they start understanding a little bit of it, and they're like, okay, and it just takes you out of this world, kind of, and it reorients you to the reality. It tells you this is not your purpose. There's something else. You're standing right in front of Allah. When He says Allahu Akbar, He goes down, you follow Him. There's a sense of leadership. There's a sense of following everything. And this is just the psychological one. When we get to the societal one, there's absolute, in the individual one, they're non-existent. In the societal one, we talked about how people actually have a sense of belonging, how they start understanding, looking at each other, and there's emotional overspill where, I'll start understanding, okay, Eric, this guy, he's a nice guy. Even though I don't even know him. Many of you guys, you just know him by name. You barely, spend time. But you kind of understand, okay, this guy, he's disciplined. Why? Because he always shows up on time. He's trying, stuff like that. So we start trusting each other, even though we don't even know each other. So a sense of community starts building. And over time, this is one of the societal effects. The people who are older, they actually come, and you'll see like the older gentlemen, they'll be happy to stay back as well. Because, they need support and they need someone to talk to. And that's why the older people will hang out more after the mosque. Over here, it's a little bit different because we have this, parking lot meeting happening every night. But other than that, usually, it's the older people who are just, staying back and they're, chatting and talking to each other. But, so they actually have this vent where they can talk to someone, they can share their emotions, they're going through a difficult time, So that's what daraja means. So 27 times more daraja for a congregational prayer. And this is, we only touched upon the psychological and the societal ones right now. And even that, I just, skimmed over them. I didn't go into detail. And then there's spiritual ones. For example, we were talking about how when we align rows, when we come in, it's there's a sense of, brother Muhammad is going to be standing there. And then with him is going to be like a kid who, clearly not the same hierarchy. And then a doctor beside him, and then a carpenter beside him, and then somebody who's, between jobs. So absolutely no social status discrimination. It starts breaking down, and you'll see in Muslims, racism is very less. Because of these things. They don't even realize it, but racism is being taken out of their natures. And we look at people for what they are. Many a times I've met people, they don't even ask me who I am or what I do. They'll just know my name and be like, oh, okay, and they'll just start chatting with me. And that happens more in Muslim countries. A lot of times I'm sitting with a cab driver, he's just, an Uber driver is taking me to a place. And at the end, I discovered that this guy has like a full fleet of cars. He's like way more rich than I am. And I'm like, okay. It happens all the time. So with us, like there's no racial discrimination, and then we are making the sufuf, and then there's spiritual, rectification happening that we talked about in different hadith, that there's special mercy that comes and aligns. If your sufuf are aligned, your hearts become aligned. And if your sufuf are broken, then your hearts become broken. So all of that, it's non-existent in individual prayers. So it's a small hadith, we sometimes just think it's just thawab. Thawab is just one of it, and there's so much more. And after we go over all of this, there's going to be tomorrow, inshallah, tomorrow, we will discuss a hadith which is very difficult to digest. It goes, how the Prophet ﷺ, whenever he taught, in everything, this is that person who's going to be waiting for us in the Hawd al-Kawthar. On the day of judgment, everybody will be saying, nafsi, nafsi, and he'll be like, no, ummati, ummati. Everybody will be worried about themselves, and he will be like, no, what about my people? On the Sirat, he'll be standing there. And people are trying to cross the Sirat, and no, he's standing there. He's like, no, let Allah have mercy on my ummah, let them cross. Please, just, don't let them fall down. But when he says some things that are, harsh in nature, it's very difficult to digest. So tomorrow, inshallah, we'll discuss a hadith which is very difficult. And because of that, there are many madhahib that actually, not many madhahib, there are just 4 of them, right? So, but 2 of them are very strict on leaving congregational prayer. So we kind of understand why. But since we have this understood, like we have this locked in, that there's so much that we are gaining from this, that if we leave it, we talked about athar and everything, where the Prophet ﷺ said, فَقَدْ حَبِطَ عَمَلُهُ, all of his deeds were wasted. فَكَأَنَّمَا وُطِرَ أَهْلَهُ وَمَالَهُ, that it's like he was standing there alone, and all of his wealth was destroyed, his family was taken away. So after we understand how much there is to get from just a single prayer, we can kind of understand the strict statements behind them. So may Allah give us an understanding and the strength to actually believe in what we hear and make it to Salah as much as we can, inshallah. You can turn off the video.